Hello, this is James P. White from 95.7 Cruise FM, The Locker Room, as well as the James P. White Experience. Welcome to the Jedi Jimmy podcast. Of course, I'm Jedi Jimmy, and welcome to episode 1 of the book of Boba Fett. If you don't know the title of the episode, it was actually Stranger in a Strange Land. I am so excited to do this podcast. Of all the characters in Star Wars, he is badass, Boba Fett. And I love the dude. And this episode is Stranger in the Strange Land, in case I haven't said it already. And at the beginning of the episode, and just so you know, at every episode, if you're watching the podcast and you see me flub up, make a mistake, misrepresent something, or even say something incorrect, please call me on it. I will acknowledge said complaint and deal with it as such. But Stranger in the Strange Land, favorite. I love this show. So at the beginning of the show, there's a tank that Boba Fett was actually inside at the beginning where he was having dreams, and it is a portable back-to-tank. If you don't know what a back-to-tank was, actually in Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker, when he got stuck on Hoth and he was in the cold for a long period of time and he needed to heal, they put him in a back-to-tank. So that one was actually not a portable one, that was a full-size one. And the one that Boba Fett has is a back-to-tank. It's both for regeneration and healing. Now, while he was in the back-to-tank, he had... There will be spoilers. I'm warning you right now. I'm spoiling the shit out of this show. So, in the dream, he actually remembered how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. I had a problem with how he got out of the Sarlacc pit by one reason. There was a stormtrooper inside the Sarlacc, and I'm not sure how he got there. Different story. But also it alluded to how the Jawas got Boba Fett's armor, which later made it to the Marshal, who later gave it to the Mandalorian, which led to this series. Now, the Jawas actually gave his armor to Cobb Vanth. Again, I said was the Marshal in the Mandalorian. At the beginning of this series, so it starts out, so he is going from a bounty hunter to a gangster. So he took over Jabba the Hutt's whole scenario, took over his area as a gangster. So at the beginning, they were on Mos Espa, which is on Tatooine. So the gangsters, or delegates of the gangsters, were giving Boba Fett tribute, the same as you do to in the feudal times or in the ancient times, gave to the leader saying, hey, favor us, we're giving you money, we're giving you treasures, we're giving you all this. Please favor us, we love you. So they called him the daimyo. Now, if you know anything about Japanese history, the daimyo in Japanese history, I think it's called daimyo, but in Japanese history was just below the shogun. It went daimyo, shogun, emperor. So they're like a leader of a region. Now, he was the leader of Mos Espa, which is where Anakin Skywalker, who turned into Darth Vader, grew up. I'll get into that in a minute. So, at the beginning, there was two Gamorreans who were the husky, kind of green characters that were guards of Jabba the Hutt, they actually were brought to Boba Fett to say, okay, they disrespected you. You have to end them as the daimyo. And he's like, I don't rule by fear, I rule by respect. The best quote in Star Wars history in my mind. Awesome. So he said to them, if you will respect me, I will respect you. And they became his guards. So Mos Espa is one of 3 major cities on Tatooine. There's Mos Espa, which is where Anakin grew up. Mos Eisley, which is where Star Wars Episode 4 kind of started, where Luke's farm was near Mos Eisley. And then there was Mos Pelgo, is where the Marshal grew, where he met the Mandalorian, which started this whole thing. So there was a lot of flashbacks and all that stuff at the beginning, but at the cantina, so when Boba Fett left his palace, Jabba's palace, which is now his, he walked through Mos Espa and he went to the cantina and he met Garza Fwip, who is a Twi'lek. I'm pretty sure I'm saying it wrong, but it was played by Jennifer Beals. So she runs the place. They clean his helmet, give him a bunch of money, and so she acknowledged the fact that he's her boss. That was cool. And just so you know, Jennifer Beals, I'm a fan. Now, shortly after that, he led to a battle between him and a bunch of assassins. We're not exactly sure who sent the assassins, but near the beginning, the mayor had a dispute with Boba Fett through one of his minions, and it could be his. And then he was taken back to the Bacta tank. There was a lot of things in this episode that I loved. One of the most was, again, the best quote ever is, Jabba ruled by fear, I rule by respect. And that ingrained into my head. Now, the fight against the assassins, they had shields and all this kind of stuff, and that was amazing. You got to watch this. Again, spoilers. Sorry. Now, Boba Fett killing the sand creature in a flashback actually is the reason why the sand people actually respect Boba Fett, and they eventually learn the same language. Now, I have some predictions for upcoming episodes. One of which is, during this show, I believe that Harrison Ford is actually going to be reprising his role as none other than Han frickin' Solo. There was an article a few weeks back where it said that Han actually has signed up for a Star Wars project. Best place to put him is opposite Boba Fett, because he doesn't die until like 25 years from when this episode takes place. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope that happens. Please call me on it. If you see any discrepancies in anything that I've said during this podcast, please let me know. Please give me comments on this podcast. I want to hear your remarks and if you agree with me. And thank you so much. I love Star Wars, and see you next time. Thank you.